Welcome back to Talk Tensors, this show where we like to, we break down the latest and greatest machine learning research. And today we're diving into a paper, well, more like a question, really.
Mm-hmm.
Can we teach large language models to effectively, use search engines like Google?
It's a question a lot of people have, I think, and it gets right to the heart of a key limitation with current LLMs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're incredibly powerful, don't get me wrong, but their knowledge, it's fundamentally limited to the data they were trained on, right?
Yeah, so if it wasn't in their training data...
They're basically in the dark.
In the dark, yeah.
Exactly, and that's where this paper we're looking at comes in, R1-Searcher, incentivizing the search capability in LLMs via reinforcement learning. It explores how we can empower LLMs to go beyond their internal knowledge and sort of leverage the vast ocean of information that's available online.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like giving them a research library at their fingertips.
Yeah.
You know, I could already see the potential.
Absolutely. To give you some context, the ability for an LLM to use a search engine, that would be a major step towards creating AI systems that can learn and adapt in real time, much like humans do.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So instead of just spitting out pre-programmed responses,
right.
They could actually synthesize new information, and solve problems they've never encountered before.
Precisely. Now, before we dive into the specifics of R1-Searcher, let's take a quick step back and look at what led up to this research.
Okay.
Early LLMs were primarily trained using supervised learning techniques,
Right.
where they were fed massive data sets of text and code,
Yeah.
and they essentially learned to mimic patterns and relationships.
Right, and that approach was great for tasks like, text generation and translation.
Sure.
But it didn't really equip them for the kind of dynamic reasoning that searching requires.
Yeah, it's a different beast. And that's where the field of Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, came into play. Yeah, so RAG systems combine the power of LLMs with external knowledge sources like databases, or in this case, search engines.
Ah, okay, I see.
Yeah.
So instead of relying solely on their internal knowledge,
Right.
these RG-based LLMs could tap into external resources to augment their understanding and reasoning abilities.
Exactly.
So they're not just limited to what they've already seen.
Right, exactly. And R1-Searcher builds upon this ARC foundation, but it introduces some really innovative techniques to specifically enhance the LLM's ability to not just access search results, but to actually use them strategically.
Okay, color me intrigued. Tell me more about how this R1-Searcher works.
Okay, sure.
It uses a two-stage approach, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And it's quite clever. The first stage is all about getting the LLM comfortable with the mechanics of searching. You can think of it like teaching a child how to use a library. First, you show them how to find books, use the card catalog, and understand the basic layout.
Right.
So
it's not about finding the right answers yet. It's about understanding how to search effectively.
Exactly. They actually train the model on formatting effective search queries, getting it used to the structure and the keywords that make a good search. Yeah.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought about starting there.
Yeah, it's a foundational step.
Yeah.
What's really cool is that they actually reward the model for simply using the search engine correctly. Even if the results aren't relevant to the question, it's about encouraging exploration and building familiarity.
Oh, so it's like giving them a gold star for effort, regardless of the outcome.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Now, in stage 2, things get a lot more targeted. The focus shifts to teaching the LLM to use search strategically to break down complex questions, identify knowledge gaps, and formulate precise queries to find the missing pieces.
Okay. So it's like they've mastered the tools, and now they're learning how to use them like a pro.
Yeah, like an expert researcher.
But how do they actually teach the LLM to do this?
Well, they use a system of rewards, but in this stage, the LLM only gets rewarded if it uses the search engine effectively to answer the question correctly.
So the stakes get higher.
Yes.
It's not just about searching.
Right.
It's about searching with a purpose.
Exactly. Searching with a goal in mind.
Yeah.
And that's where things start to get really interesting. So to actually to achieve this, they use a method, it's called ARG-based rollout, which, it essentially allows the LLM to kind of think out loud as it tackles a problem.
Think out loud. Okay.
Yeah, so it generates search queries dynamically, like as it encounters gaps in its knowledge, and then it incorporates those retrieved results into its reasoning process.
So it's not just like blindly grabbing search results.
No, not at all.
It's actively like integrating them into its thought process.
Yeah.
Just like a human researcher would.
Precisely. And to ensure the model, well, to make sure it isn't just parroting back information from the search results, they use another technique called retrieval mask-based loss calculation. Yeah. And this helps to prevent the retrieved documents from, how do I put this? From interfering with the LLM's core learning process.
So it's not just becoming a glorified copy-paste machine.
Right, exactly.
We want it to actually understand and synthesize the information it finds.
Yeah, we want real comprehension.
So does this approach actually work?
Well,
did they see promising results?
The results were actually quite impressive.
Okay.
They tested R1-Searcher on some very challenging multi-hop question-answering benchmarks.
Multi-hop.
These are data sets like HotpotQA and 2Wiki multi-hop QA. They require the model to connect information from multiple sources to arrive at the correct answer.
Those sound like some tough nuts to crack.
They are. They really are. But
what did they find?
Well, R1-Searcher, not only did it outperform other state-of-the-art RDED methods, but it even surpassed the performance of some closed-source models like GPT-4 Mini in certain cases.
Wait, it outperformed GPT-4 Mini?
It did, yeah, in some cases.
I'm curious, on what specific tasks did R1-Searcher show a clear advantage?
It wasn't universal, but it was significant, especially on tasks that required more complex reasoning, and the integration of information from multiple sources.
Right.
This really highlights the effectiveness of this RL approach in teaching the model to search strategically and adapt to new information.
That's really compelling.
Yeah.
It's not just memorizing answers, it's actually demonstrating a deeper understanding of how to use search as a tool for problem solving.
Exactly. And what's even more impressive is that R1-Searcher, well, it didn't just excel on the data sets it was trained on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It showed a remarkable ability to generalize to unseen data sets.
Wow.
And even handle online search scenarios.
So it could actually Google information it had never encountered before.
That's right.
That suggests it's truly learning how to search, not just memorizing answers.
Exactly.
Did the paper mention anything about the role of the training data in all of this?
They did. They emphasized that the difficulty and diversity of the training data were crucial to R1-Searcher's success.
Makes sense.
The more complex and varied the questions it was exposed to during training, the better it performed on those unseen challenges.
That makes sense. It's like any learning process. The more you challenge yourself, the more you grow.
Right.
Now, you mentioned earlier that they also compared RL to supervised fine-tuning, or SFT.
I did, yeah.
What did they find there?
So they found that SFT, it can be effective for teaching the LLM to generate search queries, but it tends to lead to a more rote memorization-based approach.
Oh, okay.
The LLM might learn to mimic the search patterns it was trained on, but it struggles to apply that knowledge flexibly in new situations.
Do you think there's a risk of LLMs becoming overly reliant on these search patterns, like following a recipe without understanding the underlying culinary concepts?
That's a great question, and it's one of the key challenges researchers are grappling with.
Yeah.
While the ability to search is a huge leap forward.
You're right.
We also need to ensure that LLMs develop a deeper understanding of the information they're retrieving, not just become expert search and reporters.
So the goal is to move beyond mimicry towards true comprehension and reasoning.
Exactly.
Now, I'm really interested in the novel notions section of this paper. They touch on some potential future research directions based on R1-Searcher, right?
They do.
Okay.
And some of these ideas are, well, they're quite thought-provoking.
Right.
One that particularly caught my eye was the concept of personalized information retrieval.
Personalized information retrieval. Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What does that even entail?
Well, imagine if LLMs could learn our individual search habits,
Okay.
preferences, and even our current emotional states.
So they could tailor their searches to provide results that are hyper-relevant to our unique needs and interests.
Exactly. Instead of generic results, it would be like having a search engine that understands me better than I understand myself.
Yep.
And think about the implications. An LLM with personalized information retrieval could revolutionize fields like education, healthcare, even entertainment.
It's like having a personalized AI assistant that anticipates your needs and helps you navigate the information overload.
That's a great way to put it.
That leads perfectly into the second novel notion, real-time fact-checking and source evaluation.
Oh, yeah.
Is that even within the realm of possibility?
It's a challenging problem, but one with immense potential.
Yeah.
What if LLMs could not only find information, but also critically assess its credibility?
That would be invaluable, especially in this age of rampant misinformation.
Absolutely.
Instead of just presenting results, it would help us discern truth from falsehood.
Right. But teaching an LLM to do that sounds incredibly difficult. Where would you even begin? You're right. It's a monumental challenge.
Yeah.
But researchers are already exploring various approaches.
Okay.
One promising avenue involves teaching LLMs to understand the nuances of language, to detect subtle biases, and to reason about the reliability of information sources.
So it's not just about understanding words.
No.
It's about understanding context, intent, and even the credibility of the author.
Right. It's like teaching them to think like a historian or a detective.
A detective, yeah.
It's a multifaceted problem that will require a lot of creativity and collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
But the potential payoff is huge. Imagine a world where we could trust AI systems to help us not only find information, but also to critically evaluate it.
It would certainly transform our relationship with information, making us more discerning consumers of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've explored the fascinating world of R1-Searcher, its potential to revolutionize how LLMs access and process information,
Yeah.
and some exciting future directions.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear your personal take on this research.
Sure.
What stood out to you the most?
What fascinates me most is the idea of LLMs becoming true collaborative partners in knowledge discovery.
Yeah.
We're moving beyond the paradigm of AI as a passive tool. Right. And entering an era where AI systems can actively engage with information, reason about it, and even help us make sense of the world around us.
It's exciting, but also a bit daunting.
It is.
What are some of the potential risks we need to be mindful of as this technology continues to evolve?
Yeah, it is exciting. And there are definitely some valid concerns, as LLMs become more sophisticated in their ability to search and process information. We need to be extra vigilant about issues like bias and misinformation if these systems are going to help us make decisions. We need to ensure that they're not perpetuating or amplifying harmful stereotypes or spreading falsehoods.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the information itself, but also about the sources. We need to think critically about how these LLMs are evaluating and ranking sources, especially in an online environment where misinformation can spread like wildfire. Right. Just because something appears high up in a search result doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate or trustworthy. We need these LLMs to be discerning and critical, just like a human fact checker would be. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about the novel notions that really sparked our imaginations. We were both particularly intrigued by the idea of combining personalized information retrieval with wearable technology that tracks our biometrics and emotional states.
Yes, imagine a world where your AI assistant not only knows your search history and preferences, but also has access to real-time data about your physical and emotional state.
It could analyze your heart rate, your sleep patterns, your stress levels, and use that information to tailor its searches and recommendations in a truly personalized way.
Exactly. Let's say you're working on a project and you start to feel overwhelmed. Your AI assistant could detect those rising stress levels and suggest taking a break, maybe even recommending a specific type of music or meditation technique that's known to be effective for you.
It could even go a step further and analyze your sleep patterns to determine the optimal time for you to tackle those more demanding tasks when your cognitive function is at its peak.
Right, and think about the potential for personalized healthcare. Your AI assistant could analyze your biometric data, cross-reference it with the latest medical research, and flag potential health concerns before you even notice any symptoms.
It could even connect you with specialists who are best equipped to address your specific needs.
Precisely. And all of this would be tailored to your individual profile based on a deep understanding of your habits, preferences, and even your genetic predispositions.
Of course, all of this raises important questions about privacy and data security.
Oh.
We'd need robust safeguards in place to ensure that this incredibly personal information is handled ethically and responsibly.
Absolutely. We need to be having these conversations now, proactively addressing the ethical implications as this technology continues to advance. But if we can navigate these challenges, the potential benefits are enormous.
I agree. It's a powerful vision of the future where technology can empower us to live healthier, more productive, and more fulfilling lives.
And that's what's so exciting about exploring these novel notions. They push us to think beyond the current limitations and imagine what might be possible. Maybe some of our listeners will be inspired to take these ideas and run with them, shaping the future of this incredible technology.
That's what we love about the world of AI research. It's constantly evolving, always pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
And we here at Talk Tensors are thrilled to be along for the ride, breaking down these complex topics and making them accessible to everyone.
So until next time, keep those minds curious, keep those questions flowing, and stay tuned for our next deep dive into the world of machine learning. Thanks for joining us.